Hey guys, my name is Kristin, and today we are continuing our series in James. Today I will be tackling James chapter 1, verses 12 to 15, which says, "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, 'I am being tempted by God.' For God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death." In this passage, James is moving from encouraging us as we face trials to warning us about facing temptation. Initially, when I read this, I think that it's a totally separate idea, but James links them for a reason. Why? Because temptation often follows trial. We see this in Matthew 4 when Jesus spent 40 days and 40 nights fasting and alone in the wilderness. I can assure you that this was a trial. My husband and I have been watching a wilderness survival show where the contestants are tasked with surviving on an isolated island in Canada, and the last one standing wins a bunch of money. Spoiler alert, it's so hard that some of them don't even make it through a single week, let alone over a month. For Jesus to make it that long, it would have tested him in every way, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And the first thing that happens to him when it's over is temptation. I also find it interesting that James tells us not to blame God when we are tempted. But if we look at Genesis 3:11 through 12, when God spoke with Adam after the fall, we'll understand why. It says, it's God speaking to Adam, and he says, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree which I commanded you not to?" The man said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me fruit of the tree, and I ate." Initially, when I read that, I thought that Adam had just blamed Eve, but that isn't the case. He said, "The woman you gave me." Adam blamed God. It would be like a kid getting in trouble for hitting his brother and then saying to his parents, "Well, if you hadn't had him, I wouldn't have hit him." To think like that is completely irrational, and it doesn't address the issue, his desire to sin. He would still become angry and hit whether his brother was there or not, which is why James says that each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. If you go through the Bible and look at some of the major examples of sin, you will begin to notice a theme in how each case progresses. It always starts with seeing. Eve saw that the fruit was good. David saw Bathsheba bathing. When we let ourselves dwell on that thing, whatever that thing is for you, we allow space for temptation to grow into desire, which inevitably becomes sin. Why do you think Joseph ran from Potiphar's wife? He didn't allow space to even look at her because he knew that sin leads to death. When it comes to temptation and sin, the phrase, "it can't hurt to look," is a lie. It is always a lie that looking won't hurt me, and it is always a lie that my sin isn't hurting anyone else. James ends this passage by warning us that desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Sin when it is fully grown. James is pointing out that it doesn't start big. It starts small and it grows until it is all-consuming and eventually leads to death. What areas have you allowed yourself to be tempted? In what ways have you allowed your desires to fester? As C.S. Lewis has written, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one." You won't notice it.